With the season continuing to slip through your fingers, the Phoenix Suns found yet a new way to lose a game as they lost 108-105 to the Milwaukee Bucks. 5 in a row that they've lost, and we'll talk about it right after this. Welcome in to the PHNX Suns post-game show brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Bet365, where winning is everything unless you're a member of the Phoenix Suns, and then it's optional. Download the app and use the promo code PHNX365 at sign up today. I'm Espo, that is Gil, and Ayrton, the freckled Mamba, is behind the Mac as your Phoenix Suns lose 108-105 to the tanking, god-awful, putrid Milwaukee Bucks. You heard that right. The Suns lost to the Milwaukee Bucks, who did not play Kyle Kuzma in the second half because of, well, tanking probably, and yet still managed to lose in disgusting fashion. Gil, what were your first takes here?
Ew. Yikes. Ouch. Like, everything negative. That was my takes from this game. Like, absolute have to have this game. I don't care who's not available for you. Think about who's not available for them and think about what's at stake for you. And that after the first quarter, which was a little off, but you hold this team to 15 points in the first quarter, for quarters 2 through 4 to go the way that they went, for the effort and the hustle, blue-collar plays to be fleeting in this moment, in this game, when you're back home to start this homestand, having lost 4 in a row, very disappointed. Very disappointed.
This was the most egregious loss of the year. This was the most inexcusable loss of the year. This was the most disgusting performance of the year. This was a game where, when you needed it the most, a game that you certainly could not lose because of everything that you're facing. You're fighting to keep 7th. You're slowly falling further and further behind 6. You had lost 4 in a row. You're finally home after a long road trip, and you find a way to lose to a Bucks team that was 2-9 in their last 11. No Giannis, no Kyle Kuzma in the second half. A team that is built to lose right now. Yeah. I mean, you've got Larry Nance's lesser-known son out there taking advantage of you. You've got guys that are out there fighting for their NBA careers. You're trying to actually prove that you belong, and you lose to a Bucks team that has no business actually being in a game with you on your home court. This should have been a blowout. And there were rotation questions that I have, and I get it. The freaking injury list was huge.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
Does not matter at all.
You are 12 games left in your season. You are playing the putrid Milwaukee Bucks. You've got to find a way. And I question why Isaiah Livers was out there at any point, especially in the fourth quarter, when he literally shoots a corner three-pointer off the side of the basket. When points are at a premium, when you know that you cannot score in the fourth quarter, I question that move in particular. I question the thought of that. I understand Rasheer winds up with 5 fouls. You don't go back to him. I have all sorts of questions when it comes to that. And Devin Booker did not look good all game. Did not come through in the fourth outside of the 4-point play. Had opportunities to score. I understand the ankle's bothering him. If it's bothering you so much that you can't perform at the end, don't be out there in the end. I appreciate a guy that wants to be out there for his team, but if it is hampering you enough, do not be out there. Let somebody that can actually play at full strength be out there if that's the case. This was an unacceptable loss in a season that I don't think we've had many that were 100% unacceptable. The Atlanta collapse in November, I remember the Bulls loss. This one, I think, takes the cake.
It's unfortunate, too, because we're coming from this place, and I think back to brighter times in January when we were like, man, this team keeps finding ways to surprise us and to find these signature wins and dig deep regardless of who's not available and all of this. And now it feels like we've said the opposite multiple times. We were just sitting here talking about how unacceptable the Bulls loss was and how they need to learn from that and not ever lose like that again. And this is worse than that, as we're saying. Everybody's saying
worse than the Raptors lost by cards.
It's worse than that. Like thinking about again, that you are up 26-15 after the first quarter. And going into the fourth, I said, hey, look, just hold this team under 20 points. I think you win this game. And that's easier said than done. But at the same time, if you lock in, and we talked about not getting a complete performance, not seeing 48 minutes of Suns basketball. When the last time we saw 48 minutes of Suns basketball, I really can't remember. Because even the Hornets game, even those games on the road trip that you won, there were still spurts and spots. And I know that part of it is that you don't have your full complement of players. Sure, fine. But at the same time, this team has a blue-collar identity. And the biggest part of that blue-collar identity is it doesn't matter who we have, who's available, they are going to play hard for 48 minutes. And I made that comment to you during the watch-along, Espo, when Devin Booker got the strip on Gary Trent Jr. that ended up getting overturned, and it was a major hustle play. And my thought is, and my comment was, if you were playing this hard all game from the beginning, the Bucks would have folded. They would have folded way back. If you had just played, honestly, if you had played 6 or 7 good minutes of defense in the second quarter, they would have folded. They scored 42 points in the second quarter and got so comfortable. They were like, oh, it's nice here. We can win this game. It doesn't matter who. We don't have Giannis. We don't have Bobby Portis. I've been waiting for this opportunity. I'm Ryan Rollins. I'm going to go for 26, 10, and 7 in this game. Kyle Kuzma had 20 points in 24 minutes, and they were like, you're playing too well. We got to sit you down. And Gary Trent made big shots. Ousmane Dieng had big moments. Like these guys, even though you're undermanned, these guys are taking advantage as well. Because again, the Bucks didn't have Giannis, and they didn't have Bobby Portis. They didn't have Kevin Porter Jr. Like, I don't want to hear the undermanned excuse, any of that. You didn't play hard enough and did not deserve to win. That's unacceptable with 11 games left in the season.
Yeah, and look, I understand that they didn't play to their blue-collar nature, but I can't put this on any of the quote-unquote others, guys. Right? Oso, 6 of 8 and has 12 points. Jordan Goodwin, 10 points, 4 of 9, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. Colin Gillespie, 18 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. You've got Ryan Dunn, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block. Rasheer Fleming, 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting in 19 minutes with 2 rebounds, a steal, and a block. To me, I can't lay this at the feet of anybody but the 2 stars, Jalen Green and Devin Booker. You don't do enough against a guy that against a team that just should not be able to beat you, especially when these other guys who are in some cases third stringers are stepping up and giving you enough to back you up. Like, your stars have to come through in these kind of games. Jalen Green tried to in the fourth, but kind of disappeared in that second and third again. Devin Booker, whether he's not healthy or not, or whether he's healthy or not, if he's injured, still didn't come through in shots that he got to there. This is just not on the typical blue-collar guys tonight.
No, you're not on the blue-collar guys. I think it's on the overall blue-collarness of the team, because I think that even when this team went up 11 and held the Bucks to 15 in the first quarter, we were sitting there like, this game feels weird.
Yeah, and it was ugly.
It was ugly, and it was weird, and it did not feel like this team was putting its stamp on the game. And I think that because of that, it didn't. I think the Bucks told themselves, hey, we just had an off quarter. We'll be fine. Like, we can hang with these guys. And there's, to your point, when we talk about who wasn't available, who was available was your 2 guys, your 2 dudes. And when it comes down to it, we say it so much in the playoffs and games, oh, hey, we had this guy and they didn't. And simply that's the difference between this game and how we won the game. And it seems like Devin Booker was moving a little gingerly. It seems like he was not his full self tonight, especially as well as he's been playing throughout the month of March. And a couple plays stand out to me. There was The one that he tried to cut the deficit to 1 that he couldn't get to go, and he seemed like he wanted to foul there. There was the pull-up where he didn't shoot in his normal form. He didn't follow through, and he kind of let it go at back rim. There was the turnover when he tried to make that bounce pass to the corner, and he bounces it off the baseline, is out of bounds, turnover. And in those moments, those high leverage spots, I recognize that sometimes if you are a little uncomfortable, you're feeling a little off, that attention to detail is not there. But to your point, if you can't play with that attention to detail, then maybe you should not be out there. But I also recognize that on the same token, he can go get a 4-point play like that. You can trust him with the ball in his hands. And honestly, I still have the belief that he was going to convert on some of those plays and make it happen because we've seen him do it before. And now that he did not do it tonight, you question, okay, is everything okay? Is he at 100%? Is he at 80%? Like, how is he feeling with everything that's going on right now? And how do you fix it? Because you got another one tomorrow.
Yeah, and free throws. I mean, you missed 8 free throws. You shot
really bad.
56%.
That's really bad.
That's the difference right there. You lose by 3 points. You missed 8 free throws.
You just miss half. If you make half of your misses, you win.
Yep. I mean, and it's not just. I mean, it's not just your bigs. Jalen Green went 3 of 7 from the free throw line. I mean, that's unacceptable there. I know he shot fairly well from the floor. He was 9 of 17 and 3 of 6 from deep, but 3 of 7 from the free throw line from your star guard is not acceptable there as well. You wind up winning the assist battle. You wind up winning the turnover battle. You win the steals. You have just as many blocks as they do. You have more offensive rebounds, and you wind up losing. You have 11 more shots in this game than the Bucks, and you wind up losing. You look at that box score, and you should not have lost.
I think what stands out to me with the offensive rebounding thing, particularly, I think the deeper layer to it shows what the issue is. Bucks had 8 offensive rebounds. All 8 of them were Jericho Sims.
Yes.
At a certain point, you say, I don't care if Ryan Rollins grabs it or Ousmane Dieng. He's not getting any more offensive rebounds. And it should have happened when he had 4 or 5, maybe 6 in 16 minutes, because that's when I pointed it out that he had 6 offensive boards in 16 minutes on the court. Miles Turner only played 21 minutes in this game. You had Jericho Sims come off the bench, 5 points, 11 boards, 8 on the offensive end. And even though you won the battle, you let one person dominate that facet of the game more than anybody else. And that just kind of illustrates that the Bucks were dictating the terms that this game is being played on. A shorthanded Bucks team, we talk so much about the Suns team not really having a sense of identity with guys on the court. You could say the exact same thing about this Bucks team, and it had less talent. Yeah. And despite that, they had a guy like that go out and do that very blue-collar thing at a very high level, and nobody from the Suns said, look, I'm going to face box him out. I'm going to get him out of the play and not let him think he's getting any more offensive rebounds in this game. So it's little things like that that are going to be very important if everything that you want to have as far as making it to the play-in tournament and getting a playoff seed, you're going to have to correct that. When you are playing in a play-in tournament situation, whether it's against Kawhi Leonard or Steph Curry or Denny Avdia, these are guys who are all all-stars, and you're saying, listen, we have to not let them dictate things. And the guys in the margins as well, we're not letting them play like that. What's our identity? How do we want this game to be played? And that's how the Bucks kept themselves in it, and that's how they ultimately won the game.
You got 12 games to find yourself. Or excuse me, 11
now.
11 games to find yourself. And that is
3 weeks.
That is what it comes down to. Who gets healthy, when, and do you have enough time to find yourself again and figure out how to actually take on the challenge that's facing you? I mean, the reality is the play-in, you lose 2 games, you're out. You're done.
Exactly.
There's nothing else. It's win or go home when it comes to it. And look, credit to the Bucks. These guys, 100%. 3rd and 4th stringers, playing for, like we talked about, their NBA livelihood in some of their cases, trying to prove that they belong here. They went out there and they took advantage of what the Suns gave them, and I got to give them credit for it. They shouldn't have been able to do it against the more talented Suns team, but they did. They found a way to.
Absolutely, and I think that's the big thing we talk so much about with teams who are quote-unquote tanking or whatever. It's true that they are trying to strategize and make things work a certain way, that they're focused on their future and focused on ping pong balls. But these guys who are on the court have no incentive to lose. Why would Ousmane Dieng be focused on the Bucks getting his replacement?
Yeah, they don't
Ryan
care.
Rollins is trying to get a payday. These guys are trying to do things for their particular futures because they might not be with the Bucks moving forward.
Yep.
So when you think about that, it's ultimately a matter of pride and going out there. And I hate the term of wanting it more, but who's going to play harder and make those important plays in the margins, the game-winning plays, the attention to detail? That's what the Suns didn't do, and that's what we've been talking about the Suns doing so well. And I think that's when you start to not justify, but you explain, okay, well, the guys who usually regulate those things, Grayson Allen, Dillon Brooks, Royce O'Neal. We talk so much about what he does and what he does not do, and I remember I said, I've never looked back and said, oh, he lost this game because of Royce. He said, man, he could have used more from Royce tonight, but it wasn't like, hey, Royce wasn't doing this assignment or doing this, or Royce wasn't making shots tonight. You know, that's like the biggest complaint we usually have with him. And I think that those little things regulating that level of what you're expecting from this team is very much missed. And I think that that's when you learn the importance of the vets that this team has and what we're seeing and how they're feeling the absence of them.
Yes, Matthew Dykeman saying in the chat that we've got to keep perspective that they have performed better than last season. He said we already exceeded expectations from last season, so it has to be remembered. I think you can remember that, Matthew, and you can still be extremely pissed off at a loss like this because you know how good this team can be.
Yes,
you know what they've shown. And this was an unacceptable performance from that standard that you set.
That's exactly the word I was thinking, standard. Like, expectations have changed, but I think that we can temper expectations with context of understanding these players are not available. This is the task at hand, and can they do it? And if they go about doing it the way that we expect them to do it, playing as hard, playing as crisp, playing as together as we expect this team to play, and the Bucks have a magnet ball game and can't miss from deep, or you can't make anything, but you're doing everything else, and that's what happens, I think that we can say, okay, hey, well, at least they've earned that. But I think that right now this is accountability, and us saying we've seen this team play up to a standard. We just saw basically the same group take the Spurs down to the wire and should have beaten the Spurs 2 nights ago.
Should have beaten the Celtics. It should have beaten Toronto. Like those good teams that you played and you blew it at the end. I can be okay with that.
Right.
Tonight, not that.
And exactly to your point, you could have beaten 2 title contenders. Spurs and Celtics, they expect to be playing in June. And you got the better of them for 40 to 42 minutes. So there's no reason, I don't care who's available, not available, to take on the Bucks, who also you just beat by 15 10 days ago. Yeah. For them to come in and beat you like that on your home floor, I think that's what's disappointing. While keeping the context in mind, understanding how last year was, but understanding what we've grown to expect based on what we've seen through the first 50, 55 games of this season, we want to get back to that.
We'll take a break in a second, but I've seen talk in the chat about the 4-guard lineup and pointing the fingers there. I get it. I've been one of the people that's like, hey, we need more size in the starting lineup, but I don't think tonight you can blame it on that because you went a lot of Rasheer and Dunn together. You're limited. I mean, you had to go to freaking Isaiah Livers. Like, look, Isaiah Livers, nice guy, working hard. Still a two-way guy that you had to turn to that you hadn't had in your rotation in a very long time and didn't, step up tonight. I don't know how you were supposed to go bigger tonight than you tried to go.
Exactly. And I think about, Rasheer got himself in foul trouble as well. So it was tough for him, and you just got to what you have available. And I think the biggest thing that I want to say, too, when you talk about the starting lineup, they had a good first quarter results-wise. And the other part of it, too, is we talk so much about not focusing so much on who's starting the game, but more so on who's playing the most minutes together and who's finishing the game. And what we've been seeing, especially as of late, with this team being so shorthanded, the substitutions are constant and fresh. 9 or 10 guys had played by the end of the first quarter, which is not necessarily normal, what you see in this league. So, and I said this to you, I was like, I could see this team having a 10 or 11-man rotation all the way through the postseason, which is just something that maybe you might shudder at it. But again, we saw successful teams do it. The last 2 teams standing last year did that very similarly. But it's just tough right now to try to continue to play that way. And I think that that's factored in when you put these rosters together, knowing, hey, I want our bigs to be the first guys off the bench, or I want these big wings to be the first guys off the bench. I want them to come in at 3 minutes in the first quarter, and that's why you start who you start. But it hasn't worked, so maybe we see something different tomorrow, especially knowing the task at hand.
I turned you after pregame was over and told you I didn't have a good feeling about tonight, and unfortunately,
Wish you were wrong.
Unfortunately, that wasn't just indigestion. It was actually a feeling about what happened. We're going to talk more about this 108-105 Suns loss to the lowly Milwaukee Bucks right after this. Got to tell you about APS. I mean, Gil, this is your first experience of Arizona summers. Did not imagine it would happen in March for you.
First day of spring.
Yeah, we've seen now 105 degrees, multiple days, and the earliest that it's ever happened, the earliest before May. And with APS, you know what? Even though these temperatures are getting hotter, you can actually have budget billing, which I love. It kind of spreads out your bill throughout the year so you can map in with your budget what it's going to cost you for electricity. Because out here in Arizona, when those AC temperatures, you have to turn it down and keep it cool in your house, that bill can rise and you can have weird fluctuations. I love that it stays the same and I can plan out my money with the budget billing. When APS customers sign up for budget billing, your payment is averaged out over the full year so that you pay about the same on your energy bill every month. That gives you a more predictable payment, helping you plan and save, which is so huge. Learn more about budget billing and other options for manage your bill at aps.com/let's talk. Find all your options to manage your bills at aps.com/let's talk.
Espo, it's always great to be in the office, but the last couple weeks have been especially great because our friends at Circle K have looked out with the greatest assortment of snacks. I mean, the barbecue chips. You see me probably with a bag of sour gummies every game.
I smell them every game.
My bad. I'm sorry.
I think I ate all the peanut butter pretzels.
Those went super fast. Yeah. The gummy sharks, everything that you can get when you go to your own local Circle K.
Yes.
And if you sign up to be an Inner Circle member, you can take advantage of all the snacks they have and a lot of other things they have as well.
Yep.
You can save money on gas. You can save money on Coke.
I just saved money, 20 cents on my gallon or my each gallon today.
Listen, I like saving money. If you like saving money, you should sign up for Circle K Inner Circle. Tell them your friends at PHNX sent you. Sign up. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details, and then get a couple snacks, like I said.
Tell them Gil sent you.
Tell
them Gil sent you. That's what you want to tell the people. Oh, my wife in the chat saying the barbecue chips are fire. They are.
Right there.
That is true. And Mies says, "Ooh, gummy sharks. Yeah, those are good too." What wasn't good, and what didn't leave a good taste in my mouth was this game tonight. We'll get to some positives, but was there anything else that stood out to you in this performance that really just kind of got at you?
I feel like it was just kind of a sum of everything. And we were talking about this through the game and the vibes, and Hello in the chat had said something that the vibes are just off. And we were saying, what does it take to turn vibes around? And it was like, is it a statement win? But it feels like this team is piling statement losses, which is sad.
Yeah, let's discuss the idea of vibes, because you've been in a locker room. Right. I'm sure you've been through losing streaks. Yes. I don't mean that based on your skill set. I just mean everybody's been through
reality.
How can you turn vibes around? Is it a real thing? Like,
yes.
is it real
yes.
that can actually snowball?
Yes, it can snowball for sure. And I think the biggest thing, and these guys are pros, so it's a little different, but I think back to a losing streak that I was on in college. I remember I was with a few teammates, and it was just like worst of the worst. And then we started looking at our next couple games, and it was like ranked opponent, tough road game, ranked opponent. And then we were like, when are we going to win again? Yeah. And the doubt had crept into our minds that we are losing, and we don't necessarily know how to turn ourselves around except for having a get-right game. And in theory, that was supposed to be tonight for this team. I don't think that this team was trapped by anything. I don't think that they were looking ahead to the week ahead because you got two big ones tomorrow and Tuesday. I just think that there's a snowball effect of things going wrong. And you're kind of like, man, when can something go right for us? And I think how to reverse those vibes is reminding yourself that you're in control of what you can control. Especially for me, when I was in college and I'm watching our team on a losing streak, I'm at the end of the bench. I can't do anything. I'm just like, man, get it together, guys. But when you're the person that's controlling this and controlling the outcome and playing 30, 35 minutes a game, when are you going to dig deep? And I think back to that, there's locker room vibes, but I also think there's an on-court vibe and an on-court feeling. And that's when we were talking about a Dillon and talking about a Royce and a Grayson, those guys and what they bring and their mentality of simply saying, we are not losing tonight. I don't care what's happening. And I think that we got a thought that might happen late in the game when Book had that 4-point play. And I was going to make a comment that it felt similar to that Nets game about a month and a half ago at this point when it was basically the Nets game was this game, except they made more plays at the end. And that's how it felt. So I think getting more on-court vibes and on-court attitude to get things back together would be big for this team.
So Dillon is there with the team. I mean, he's traveled and everything.
Right.
But can you really be a vibes, like have an impact on the vibe side of things on the bench like that? I know he can't with the on court, but I feel like that attitude, that approach, you just can't get it from him until he's back on the court. And I don't know if you can change that mentality without him on the court.
I agree. There's only but so much that you can do from the sideline. I think Dillon is very much a vocal leader, but he's also very much a lead by example person in a sense that, hey, match my energy, match my effort. And he can be bought in. He can tell you what he's seeing from the sideline. But we heard so much about like him challenging guys and being proud when they yell back at him. But you can't do that but so much when you're not available to play. So I think that attitude also is felt by your opponent. You see a guy who has a look in his eye saying, I'm willing this team to win. We're not losing to y'all. Listen, respect to you guys. You got a bunch of pros over there, but you're not on our level. We're not losing to y'all. And I think that the Suns seem a little unsure of themselves as of late. Like, I think we can beat y'all. Like, nah, I think we have enough. Like, maybe if you guys miss a couple shots, we got this. But what happens when Miles Turner makes a transition 3 to put his team up by 4 with under 2 minutes to play? How are you going to react now? You got hit in the face again. What's going on? And I think that this team knows what it's capable of, or they've shown themselves, but I think that they're doubting themselves a little bit as of late.
Yeah, and just missing that edge, missing that, you know what, I'll get in your face. We'll kind of bring that energy, and you hope when he comes back that just clicks back into place. But we talked about it during the watch along. I think my biggest concern here is the runway to try to get right in that way, the runway to figure out your chemistry on the court and how it fits together is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter. And at what point do you just not have enough runway to figure that out again? Because guess what? He's going to have to shake off the rust. Mark's going to have to shake off the rust. The team's going to have to figure out how to play together. Ott's going to have to figure out what the hell does my rotation look like when these guys come back? Who's not getting minutes? How are they going to get minutes? Hell, Mark and Dillon are going to wind up playing with a handful of guys that they've never played with, including Haywood Highsmith, that could wind up being a rotational guy. I'm starting to be very concerned that you do not have enough time to correct these things. But one big win in a play-in game could change the vibes, but I don't know that it's going to change the chemistry.
That's true. And I think that there's two schools of thought or two timelines, I guess, at play here, in that you can look at games remaining and also time remaining. And tomorrow marks, there'll be 3 weeks between tomorrow and the season finale. You talk about the injury timelines and Mark and Dillon being maybe 1 to 2 weeks back. So you get these guys back for maybe 10 to 12 days of practicing and games, and that's factored into your runway and however much time is between the season finale that Sunday. Usually the play-in tournament starts on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. You're playing on Tuesday or Wednesday. It's a 7-day game. It's usually that Wednesday game. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You're going to have a couple days to get right and prepare for whoever it is you're playing for. Now, I think ahead, we talk about losing these games that you should have won. You got some that are going to be tough. You got Toronto. You got Denver. Look even further. You play Houston and you play the Lakers and the Thunder. I do think a statement win, a remind yourself who you are win, could do a lot for the morale and the confidence of this team as you go toward the postseason. But you got to get it. And usually that confidence is built by getting wins on nights like tonight. But then when this happens, you look yourself in the mirror, and I think that there is a lot of disappointment because you know what the standard is. But then it's human nature to question, okay, is this group just tapped out? Are we going to get healthy? What's it going to look like? And all the questions that you mentioned, Espo, of rotations, chemistry, playing off of one another. Unfortunately, you just got to get thrown into the fire and hit the ground running, or it is what it is. So ultimately, yeah, if you can get a signature win, I like the confidence level going into that play-in tournament, because ultimately you can get hot and just as soon as that, like, get rolling and ride that momentum into at least pushing somebody to 6 or 7 games.
I think that win has to come, or at least some version of that win has to come tomorrow, or has to come against Denver. Because, you know, when we get, let's be honest, maybe you get to that Lakers or OKC game, those teams might not be playing for anything.
That's true.
Maybe it's that Houston game that's a potential signature win, but right now you need to stop the bleeding, and you've got to do it against one of these better teams. I saw Matthew Dykman, a couple others, and I know they mentioned on the broadcast, compare this team to potentially like that Heat team that made the finals from the play-in. I want to think that way, but let's be honest. That team ran through a very weak Eastern Conference. It would have to be an otherworldly run through a murderer's row of Western Conference teams. So I'm not going to hold my breath on that. And I'm not going to hold my breath during this break. We will be back talking about who our dude of the night is, our love the play, and we will welcome in Stephen Pergion Gardner from the morgue right after this. The husband and wife law team, if you've had a serious injury, no, not because of your basketball team, but because of an accident, you can call the husband and wife law team, Mark and Alexis Breyer. You need to do your research when this happens. If you do, it's going to lead you to the husband and wife law team, because they are a group that is certified when it comes to wrongful death and serious injury cases. They're prepared to go to trial if it's necessary, and they want to make sure that you wind up with more in your pocket than they do with their bottom line. But that is not all, right? If you have any kind of consternation about what's going on, any kind of problem, you can cancel at any time with them with no penalty or anything. They want you to get the best result possible, and they are going to take care of what you need by letting you talk to your lawyer at any point. I had one of these cases, couldn't get in touch with my lawyer. Was probably the most frustrating part, even more than the accident itself. But they guarantee that you'll be able to talk to your lawyer at any point. So if you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841, or visit their website at thehusbandandwifelawteam.com, or the link in our show notes, and tell them PHNX sent you. And Window Depot. I had a flood in my house, a slow leak that turned into a flood over numerous months. There is all sorts of mold issues. We're going to have to, take care of all that. And I'm going to have to redo part of my kitchen. And I'm going to turn to my friends at the Window Depot. And you say, Window Depot? Why would you go there for the kitchen? Because Window Depot is more than just a window store. And that's not just a fancy slogan. It's the truth. They got cabinets, countertops, flooring that's down in their Tucson store. It'll be in the other 6 Arizona locations soon. You can do everything that you need for a space. And you'll have somebody to help you design it, because they offer you free in-store designers to help figure out what that space you want it to look like. And I might need to do that with my kitchen. We're going to find out shortly. So the best part too, contractors love them, but people like you and me love them too. And you can go online, purchase your stuff, pick it up in store. So I'm going to tell you, go to windowdepot.com, thewindowdepot.com, and get started on your next project today. All right, we've licked our wounds. We've talked about how bad this was, but I do want to give a little love, throw some flowers somebody's way, because it's time to name our dude of the night, presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. And our dude of the night is one Ryan Dunn, a guy that had fallen out of the rotation and was struggling to find his way back in. And tonight he was pretty much the lone bright spot. Played 23 minutes, had 12 points, shot 5 of 9 from the floor, had 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. He came up big for this team and tried his best to help keep him in it. Even had 3 offensive rebounds. I was really impressed with what Ryan Dunn was able to do tonight.
Proud of the effort from him tonight, and continue to keep his head down and work, as there's been a lot of noise around him. He's fallen in and out of the rotation. Sometimes he's the first guy off the bench. Sometimes he's not getting off the bench. And for him to come in and do the effort things that we've talked about, and we pointed certain things out. The shot making obviously is going to pop the loudest because that is the swing skill for him, and 2 of 5 from deep tonight was good from him. But we saw the smart cut that he made to finish around the rim. We saw him make a read in which he gets an offensive rebound, refills back out to the left wing, one dribble, punches it home. Big dunk for him. We saw him be disruptive defensively. We saw him make smart passes in transition. It was a lot of different things where you saw a lot of the pieces of Ryan Dunn all together. And he's starting to piece it together. And I think it's important, as we talked about patience with young players and development not looking linear with people. We've seen him do all of these things in different spots. But it was really good tonight to see him do it all in one game. Yes. Now, is it realistic to expect him to have nights like this every game? Not yet, not right now. But if moving forward, a good Ryan Dunn game could be, 2/3 of this offense, and that's, 7 or 8 points and a couple rebounds, 5 or 6 rebounds and some disruptive plays defensively. I don't think that that's too much to ask for him if you think he can go in and knock down one of every 3 corner threes he makes, and he can make a smart cut and run the floor and show his athleticism off like that. So doing things that can be replicated, this is a good step in the right direction. He laid a brick down in the foundation of him kind of building up to being the NBA player he will ultimately be.
You mentioned the dunk in a game that did not have a lot of plays that you could love, in a game that did not have a lot of moments that stood out in a positive way. That dunk is the Love the Play, brought to you by our friends at the Arizona Lottery. And you can play and gift today with them. That dunk was pretty much the highlight for me in terms of exciting play. Some people would say, oh, Devin Booker's 4-point play in the fourth. Maybe if they had won, but that just makes me angry when I think about it now. I was just happy for Ryan Dunn, the young man, getting some moments tonight that should help his confidence, even though the game didn't help the Suns' confidence.
Absolutely. And I think that, the hope would be, and, a lot of people get on us for being hopeful and finding some ways and shreds of optimism, but the hope would be that this team has had so much bad luck and adversity and misfortune that somehow they get a perfect storm of everything clicking at the right time, because they've had plenty of perfect storms of everything going wrong at the worst possible time. But if you can get Ryan Dunn's confidence at an all-time high, you can get Devin Booker back to feeling back to 80, 90, 100% of himself again. He and Jalen Green are finding how to play off one another, and everybody is feeling that confidence and everybody gets healthy. You have the full complement of different equations you can put together, especially if you find yourself in a position where, regardless, you're going to be 7th or 8th, and you're going to be in a position where you have to game plan for 2 different teams in the span of a week, whether it's both of your play-in tournament opponents or you win a game to get out of the play-in tournament, and then you have a different team to game plan for when the playoffs start that following weekend. So to get all of that going at the same time, you need everybody at their best versions of themselves, and Ryan Dunn took a big step in the right direction for that.
Yeah, well, people enjoy us, but we know that everybody loves Stephen Priggian Garner, the context, and you can have him right after this break if you hit the like button. Bet365, you're winning is everything with Bet365. I know it's funny to say that in a night where we had the 5th straight loss for the Suns, but let's be honest, there's no better feeling than winning. There's no better feeling than getting to leave early when you get to leave work, a boring party, whatever it is, and cutting out early is one of life's true joys. I mean, the Suns did it after the first quarter tonight, and that's why Bet365 is running their exclusive early payout offer. If the team you're riding goes up 10 at any point in the game, they'll pay your bet out right there on the spot. Seriously, it's like an Irish goodbye of sportsbook promos. Like you can just leave like the Suns did in this game. You can just cash out
out.
And go right then. The Suns went up 10, and they just went, you know what, good enough for us. We're done. So Bet365, where winning is everything. Make sure to download that app today. You're going to be able to get a $365 in bonus bets when you bet $10, win or lose. It's easy, just like that. So please gamble responsibly. Must be present in AZ. $10 minimum deposit required. Bonus bet wager excluded from returns. New customers only. 21 and over only. Time limits, minimum odds, and terms and conditions apply. In-app only. Void where prohibited.
Not to brag or anything, I got a haircut. Or if I didn't have a haircut, I probably would have a hat on. And if I had a hat on, good chance it'd be a Branded Bills hat, because I was gifted a Branded Bills PHNX hat when I first got here. It's a nice gray cap, and it's one of the many custom type of headwear you can get from Branded Bills, because they got you covered. If you want to stand out from a crowd, you can wear a Branded Bills hat, whether it's a snapback, a trucker, a fitted hat, a beanie hat.
You're insane if you wear a beanie hat right now.
That's absolutely insane.
Hot.
Absolutely insane.
105.
That's not beanie weather.
No.
But I did get my mom a beanie, and she likes the beanie.
Good.
Branded Bills has you covered with all of that, and it's the perfect blend of performance and style. Partnerships with over 40 universities, including ASU, U of A, my Wake Forest Demon Deacons also have some Branded Bills hats. So if you want to throw that black and gold on, do that as well. It's part of their campus collection. They also partner with the Phoenix Suns. You can get a Branded Bills cap over at the morgue.
You can.
So, if you want to get that BB on your hat, they got the Phoenix Suns one as well. It's a local company from Mesa, so we love to support local, especially here at PHNX. And you can head to brandedbills.com and use the code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. So that's BBPHNX. I love saving money. We already said that. We already established that. So you get 15% off your first order of a Branded Bills cap.
All right. It is time for our post-mortem with Stephen Prigione Garner. What's up, Steven? A rough evening on the court out at the morgue, but what was the post-game presser like? What did you hear, and what kind of stood out either from Coach Ott or any of the players you talked to?
I think Jordan Ott is about expired on the needing of at least the majority of the rotation to play the brand of basketball that they've worked to establish and be effective doing so with this season. Not excuses being made, but in terms of what's desired, he feels like the effort is there from his guys. He feels like execution is close to where it needs to be for them to eke out wins in this kind of iteration of their roster. But it's hard. It's hard. I think a lot of people take for granted how hard it is just to win a single NBA game. And that's not the first time that you've heard me say that, Espo. It feels like winning is taken for granted, and saying that things should be matter of fact. Oh, well, that team is missing, such and such, and, whoever else. That should be an automatic win. I don't know if there's an automatic win in the NBA. And I'm not trying to cope. I'm not trying to cope and, make excuses for the Suns, because this was one that they definitely should have won. And by my eye, just off of watching it without rewatching anything, they probably should have won by a couple of possessions. That just speaks to how hard it is just to win a game. It doesn't make me think anything less of the Suns, because the context is the context as far as who wasn't available and the mistakes that they made in this game, and how those guys that weren't available would likely mitigate those mistakes. It's just part of the ebb and flow of the season right now, and they're in a little bit of a drought, largely because of trying to figure out how to navigate those injuries.
They're in a drought, 5 straight tonight. This was, I think, by many looked at as a get-right game, but you kind of explained how those don't really exist if you don't do what you do. I think disappointment is very much the common theme and feeling that we all are feeling right now. In your eyes, what went wrong for this Suns team tonight to not do what they've been doing and not get a win on a night that they probably needed it more than they have in a really long time?
Oh, man.
A lot went wrong, obviously. Oh, man.
No, I mean, a lot did, but top of the mind continues to be the fourth quarter scoring.
Mhm.
23 points in the fourth quarter. 23. That's not going to get it done on most nights against most opponents. Like, they gave up 27. 27 is not a bad number to concede to an opponent in a final period, but 23 is not one that you can say, okay, if we get to this number 74 times, we're going to win almost all of those games. That's not one of those type of numbers. You need more. And you need a whole lot more of it. I will bring my eye to how slow the game is now being played at for them on offense. 85% of their possessions took place in the half court tonight. That's the 9th time that they've had a game where they're at 85% or more. Do you all know what their record is in those 9 games this season? 2-7. And one of those 2 games came in the win against Charlotte 2 weeks ago. The other win was the game winner that Devin Booker hit against Oklahoma City. So the types of teams that are kind of dragging them into the water and forcing them to play the game a lot slower are the exact teams that are going to be on the other side of the regular season into the play-in and the play-in into the playoff. Those transition points to postseason basketball in either capacity, that's a lot of the terms that the game is played on. And if you're 2-7 in those types of games, that's not something that bodes the most conducive to winning games on that stage. So they have time to figure that out, but they have to start seeing return on investment with results there and soon.
Rough night for Devin Booker. Let's be honest, just didn't play the offensive game that we know he can, and definitely didn't down the stretch. What do you make of that? And was there any talk about his ankle in postgame?
I'll start with crediting Milwaukee. Torian Prince, Usman Dang. Salute you guys. They kept the physicality level up. They kept the activity in terms of multiple efforts and just making sure that Devin felt one of those 2 guys everywhere he went on the court. They did a job executing their game plan, and they did a good job executing that for the duration of the game, it felt like. Credit to Milwaukee as well for game plan. Last time out against the Suns, they only blitzed Devin Booker 8% of the time. Without having the direct numbers in our faces, I'd imagine all 3 of us would agree that the number of blitz percentage that he saw tonight would be significantly higher than that 8% from last time. Now, context matters. Surprising that I'm saying that. No Royce O'Neal, no Dillon Brooks, no Amir Coffey, no Haywood Highsmith, no Royce O'Neal. All of those guys can shoot the basketball to a certain level. You take shooters off the floor and out of the rotation, that lends itself to a team seeing that they can be a lot more aggressive on a guy like Devin than they typically would when this team is healthy and whole, or even closer to what they were in that tonight. So that's a little bit of it. But I think the other part is just, I don't know if he's right. I don't know if he's 100%. Now, Jordan, I mentioned in postgame, to answer your question, Espo, everybody's banged up. Everybody's fatigued at this point in the season. That's not going to change through the finish line of everybody's individual respective seasons. No one's going to be 100% anymore in March. No one's going to be full or 100% in terms of fatigue or being a little bit tired. Everybody's going to be dealing with bouts and spells with that at this point. Got to figure it out. And I think it starts with, making quicker decisions will help them. I think he handled the double teams well tonight. But I think what we've seen from Devin this season is when he's getting off of it early and quickly, he's oftentimes able to get it back. And now it's about, is a team really going to send 2 doubles at Devin in one possession? Or if it boomerangs back to him in some capacity, is it now 1-on-1? And now it comes back to just, did they get into their offense with 18 seconds left, or did they get into it with 21 to 22? And how much time does Devin have to play 1-on-1 after that? So I think there's process things that they can clean up in terms of just getting into their actions quicker, which will aid and benefit Devin. But it's just it's kind of a snowball of things. One thing leading into another. The defense not being to the level that it needs to be in the fourth quarter especially, and then you get these results in the last 5 games.
Are they hunting matchups too much for him? Like tonight, again, like you said, in the fourth, felt like it slowed down, like it kind of ground to a halt. again, and it felt like it was just Book try to bail us out, and for whatever reason he didn't have it, health or otherwise, and what is it exactly, or what was it tonight?
Tonight, for me, it didn't really feel like it was matchup hunting per se. It felt like they were just a lot more arduous with the approach tonight. And again, credit to Milwaukee, very handsy, very physical with Jalen and Devin, but especially with Devin, obviously, and then Devin seeing the multiple bodies with pretty much every touch. It felt like tonight. I felt like that weighed on them over the course of the game. Milwaukee's execution level of that particular game plan was where it needed to be, and the Suns couldn't find those pockets often enough to play off of stops, to play in transition. I mean, that second quarter alone, I'm sure one of y'all is probably going to ask about that part next, but I feel like that's where the game was really lost. You do what you did to dictate the terms, set the tone for the game. 9-0 start, force them to call the first time out. They go on a little bit of a run, and then you answer with the response of your own to close the quarter and to have a lead going into the second. And then all of that to just be rapidly undone over that next 12 minutes. And then you're playing catch up the rest of the way. Got to be better with that game plan flow. And Gil, that's something we talked about the other day. Yes, the fourth quarters have not been the best, but at times it's the middle quarters that's really hurt them. Because if you don't have to play catch up, or you don't have to stave someone off because you've created enough distance, you put yourself in a much easier position to where it's not, we need to be quicker in our offense in the fourth quarter because it's hurting us. We got to lead. That helps a lot more.
That's exactly where I was going when I talked about the second quarter. We got we're connected right now. We're aligned. But to only allow 15 points in the first quarter and then turn around and give up 42 one quarter later, and something I kept saying during our watch along is they're letting them get comfortable. They're letting them get comfortable. It was a couple drives, and that's I think when Ryan Rollins found his gear and all of that. What was it that shifted on the defensive end from the first to the second quarter? And paired with that, we are saying that something feels off. And I know that their guys are unavailable, but being around and seeing what's going on, like, does the vibe feel off? Not necessarily in the locker room, but just in the play-to-play, like the game vibe.
I'll start with the second quarter part. So difference-wise, first quarter, 15 points. Second quarter, 42 points. First quarter, 6 turnovers forced for the Suns. Second quarter, 0 turnovers forced. First quarter for Milwaukee, I can't remember how many threes they made in the first quarter. Let me double check that real quick. I feel like they maybe made one. Yeah. First quarter, 1 for 9 from deep from Milwaukee. All of those things, 6 turnovers forced, 15 points scored, sub 40% shooting from the field, only 1 3-pointer made on 9 attempts. All of those things align with what the Suns are going to do if they're winning games. And then that second quarter was the exact opposite side of the spectrum. 42 points, 70% from the field, 7 threes made, no turnovers forced. Like, all of those things you just can't have, and you can't have for a full quarter especially. So for me, it felt like their execution level dropped off from what it was when the reserves came into the rotation to end that first quarter. So you get the Ryan Dunn and Rasheer Fleming, also Iguodala kind of trio in the front court with a different crop of guards. And they do a more than solid job speeding Milwaukee up, getting out in transition, Bouye getting layup opportunities and things like that. And in the second quarter, just none of that happened. None of it happened. And it felt like I think Kuzma had 15 points in the second quarter. That was who really, again, kind of hurt the Suns in a similar fashion to what he did the last time out against them. They just, some of it is containing the ball. Some of it is just not being on the same page with some of their switching that they're doing. But just generally, more than anything, the fatal flaw on the defensive side is stamping the stops with a rebound. And that's what hurt them in the fourth quarter, no different than what hurt them in the second quarter.
Have we gotten any sort of injury update in terms of what the timetable, or at least the reevaluation for both Dillon and Mark will be? Or are we still just kind of in limbo with that?
I would err on saying in limbo with Mark because we didn't hear any updates on him today. Jordan did mention that it's still progress on the Dillon Brooks front. And he mentioned because it's a bone, the bone naturally takes longer to heal fully than like a soft tissue injury or something along the lines of that. So He said he's still progressing, not quite there yet, but headed in the right direction. You take that for what you will as far as that injury goes, but doesn't seem like help is coming. Obviously not tomorrow, probably not by Tuesday, maybe not by the end of this upcoming week. So they might still have a ways to go as far as getting their two front court starting tandem pieces back in the rotation. Um, and then Jordan also mentioned that it's a lot of the weight of the schedule compounding with the injuries that Haywood's had, the injuries that Royce has had, the injuries that Grayson's had. So he said it was less about the front end of a back-to-back dynamic and more so just the weight of the way the schedule has kind of hit the Suns and the ways they've had to extend guys because of the injuries that pre-existed, other guys getting hurt. A culmination, compound effect with that.
I guess my last one for you before we let you go. Do you have anything positive to take from tonight?
I mean, yeah. I can call me Mr. Positive or whatever, but I always find something that you can take away. For one, the experience of having the fourth quarter boogaboos hit you again. At some point, you have to kick that wall down because this situation, this instance, this challenge is going to continue to present itself to you. I mean, needless to say, the last 5 games, it's presented itself in different ways. The way Toronto presents it is different than Milwaukee presents it. It's different than San Antonio, different than Boston, different than Minnesota. Like each team is doing it differently, but that same instance of pressure, resistance that you're being met with, you got to find your escape velocity. You're gonna keep getting met with that until you're able to kick that down. So you gotta take the learning parts with that. Naturally, I think having Royce O'Neal in your closing lineups, as much as people hate to hear about Royce playing meaningful minutes, guess what? No one else can do the things that he does for this team at that time in the ways in which he does it. You go back and watch all of the Devin Booker double teams where Royce O'Neal is on the floor, and look who's making the correct decision to make the play that leads to them having a positive result from that. Go back to the Oklahoma City game. They want to double team Devin Booker. Cool. Royce O'Neal screens for him. They send a double team, pops it to Royce. Royce fakes the pass, knocks down the three. Like those moments matter. Other guys aren't really able to replicate those type of instances, those type of dynamics. So you got to figure that part out. And I think that's a positive. I think it's a blessing to have a challenge like this that's in your way, that's not only coming to you in the playoffs, because now you have time to game plan, to adapt and adjust to it. Other one for me, the young wings, Rasheed Fleming and Ryan Dunn. I think they both had multiple positive moments tonight. Honestly, playing off of each other, this felt like the most we've seen them spend time in lineups together with each other, obviously because of injury, but I feel like they both had good moments. Ryan Dunn and his rebounding, especially on the defensive glass, is something that no one else on the Suns can replicate. Jordan Goodwin is a hell of an offensive rebounder. He can't rebound on the defensive side to the extent that Ryan Dunn has shown to be able to. So that's his meal ticket to getting back in the rotation, so long as he's not making mistakes on the defensive end. And then the last one, Colin Gillespie. He continues to just make plays. Now, he can't be the guy that you're relying on to close games. That's not his role, even at the best version of himself. He would be more of a guy that's playing off of Devin than a guy that's setting Devin up. But he still gave you the spark that you needed in terms of the scoring department, where if Devin has a typical game, this is a win, and probably a win by double digits.
Well, I got to say, Steven, you always find a way to make me feel better. I was crashing out a little bit, but
I was too.
Yeah. Would you know it's bad if Gil has joined me on the crash bus? All right.
I mean, so not the crashing out part, because that's not what this part of the season is about. But I think the learning about a team and seeing what challenges either are new to a team for them to figure out, or challenges that continue to kind of rear their ugly heads in different ways, like I got done speaking to. That's a blessing to have those, because now you're enabled opportunity to figure out how to combat that before it's do or die. You still got another tomorrow, and then you still got about 11 or 10 more tomorrows after tomorrow to continue to assess those things and continue to adapt. It's not going to happen overnight, y'all. I hate to be the bearer of bad news with that, but that's not how this thing works, especially for a rookie head coach with a brand new iteration of a roster in his very first season, one that's been withered the entire season in totality. So it's going to take time. It might not be until the last week of the regular season where they get everybody in the rotation and they're able to start to try to address these things. Got to be a little bit patient with them.
I have one final question for you. Could you hit more than 3 of 7 free throws?
I appreciate y'all talking to me today. I'm not putting myself in that position. I will say that I enjoy the Suns also winning the possession battle by 10 tonight. To answer your question, Espo, they won a possession battle, at least by my metrics, 101 to 91. That's a number that's always going to put them in position to win games as long as they handle their business. Like with those things that you spoke to, that's not for me to answer and speak to my abilities on. I'm not a professional basketball player. I'm a professional podcaster. That's a very good answer. And that was a
professional answer. I mean, let me get a professional answer. I see what you're wearing today. You know what tomorrow is.
You know what that is? That's a business decision.
That's a business decision.
He stepped out the way and said, "Nope, not going there."
Dodged that one. That was crazy.
That's what we love about you, Steve.
Neo from the Matrix with that one. I wasn't going for it.
That's what we love about you, Steven. Go home, get some sleep. You'll be right back out there tomorrow. We'll talk to you then.
Appreciate y'all. Be safe.
And if, today wasn't enough losing, we're going to take a look at our post-game picks tracker brought to you by our friends at Bet365, where winning is everything. Download the app. Use the promo code PHNX365 at sign up today. Let's take a look. I lost. Gil lost. Ayrton, did you lose? Ayrton lost as well. Eric won, but he's still a minus 378.75.
You want to know how I lost?
By like a point. Like you didn't get 1 point, 2 points.
No. Usman Jang scored his.
And did he?
He
scored his 3.
Devin Booker had his assist.
What'd you lose on?
Colin Gillespie has points. I took Suns money line.
Oh, youch.
So all I needed to do was win.
Oh,
all they had to do was win. That was the one thing I didn't get.
Yeah, I didn't get 2 parts of mine. So another day tomorrow as we all try to find a way to scratch and claw to the positive other than Ayrton. We will do that tomorrow as we prepare for the Toronto Raptors and PHNX Suns. We'll be back here for a pregame show at 5:30. Don't forget, it's a 6 o'clock game because it's Sunday and we get to go home a little earlier on Sundays. We'll also have the watch along and post game show. Eric will be back tomorrow, so you don't have to suffer through me driving. I'll be in my normal seat making my dumbass jokes. Gil will be here as well. You can follow him at Gil McGregor _. You can follow the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac at Freckled Mamba. Ayrton, thank you for all your help tonight. Follow the show at PHNX _ Suns. You can follow me at Espo. And remember, I guess things can't get worse. Hoy hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.